at the age of 8, Fela was already playing keyboard for the guests his parents used to receive every Sunday.
Fela was a musician too, in the church.
Yes,
Hold on,
in the
before we
church,
go on,
Anglican
his
church.
grandfather recorded the first album in Nigeria.
Yeah.
His grandfather is the first person
Yeah.
to ever make a record in this country, this
He came from that
geographic
heritage.
thing called Nigeria.
So he knew music.
So
from an early
music,
age.
like music is like a follow come for Fela.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
So what he's
honest.
trying to say, I mean, we are talking about this in retrospect, but with the few instruments, the traditional instruments he could play or that were available to him, he could have done an African orchestra.
That's what I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, so
So-
having said that, here's the drift. You need to understand the man and know where he's coming from. Fela intentionally wanted to separate and distance himself from anything colonial in nature and in coloration. Is why he dumped his name Ransom Kuti.
And also
And
Christianity.
If he wanted to do that, he would have removed keyboard from his instrument, saxophone.
we have
And
removed
stop with
microphone.
talking drums,
Yeah,
He should have
right?
removed microphone too. Wait, they should have removed
I'm
microphone.
using what he was called OP.
No, but truth be told, you can't separate technology, which is the reason why that went the way it did. Yeah, but man had a philosophy, had a purpose, okay, and he stuck to it all the days of his life, which is he spoke against certain things, and he couldn't be seen to be romancing the same things he was speaking against.
Yeah, so that brings me to this question. What impact did Fela's movements have on political movements in Nigeria and other parts of Africa?
It's, before anybody even says anything, before we go there at all, for you to understand the impact both locally, nationally, and globally that Fela had, Fela was celebrated on Broadway. He has a Broadway show, Fela.
2 years ago, so. Yeah.
Okay, for you to understand the impact he had both within and outside. Okay, his story, his life story, his biography, quote unquote, was told in a Broadway show. It started off Broadway actually, and it was so commercially and critically acclaimed that it was adopted and it got onto Broadway.
Broadway.
And it's been taken to several other countries. UK, brought to Nigeria, obviously his roots, and it's one of the things that has caused a resurgence in understanding, appreciating who Fela is. The Broadway show was supported by Will Smith, Jay-Z,
Beyonce, all of them.
Beyonce,
Yeah,
all
right,
of that.
so-
For you to know, we appreciate Fela.
We do in Nigeria.
But
We
the
do.
truth is, we actually don't know the level of global acceptance
Yeah.
and reputation he has outside of the country.
Yeah, because there was no metric like social media action for the
Back
everyday
then.
person to.
Back
Yeah,
then.
back then.
But his music has gone so far and wide. The same way James Brown was a role model to him, same way Fela is a role model to so many people outside of the country,
Yeah.
especially in the US.
Hold on.
Now, so that's my question. What is Fela's impact politically
Oh,
in
no,
Nigeria
we-
and in other parts of Africa
Bam!
and in the world?
The answer is bam.
So
Nothing needed to be said.
I would say,
But we will say, but really, that's essentially not the question. But
well, I would say politically, it's quite evident because
over evidence.
yes, when there's the truth is always bitter. I wasn't born when Fela was ringing.
Yeah.
I'm a very young man. What we have about Fela is history and then records of
Yeah.
Yeah.
him. But the influence of Fela on politics is so vivid that his kids, his children, even if how he went about it wasn't accepted by everybody,
Yeah.
it's so vivid that the influence affected his children so much that in the now, the children of probably those politicians then are now mingling. I'm talking around the world. The example in my mind is the president of France, Macron. When he was before he ran for presidency, he used to come to the shrine.
Yeah.
He's very good
Yeah.
friends with
Yeah.
Femi Kuti. And then when he won as the president, he came to the
Teacher.
shrine.
Yeah.
And the way Femi Kuti was dealing with the president, I was like, this is the president of France.
Yeah.
Drags his hand to the stage, drags him,
That
and
guy
he's
is-
like my guy.
Yeah.
So Fela's influence on politics is major around the world. France is a very notable country that you don't just it's not everybody that can actually be rolling with the president like that at that level. From that perspective, he's really influenced politics globally because just the perspective of France alone. France is the colonial master to like multiple other countries. But when France comes, those other countries they react. And then they would see those things. People from those countries would see those things and be like, oh wow. And these things create perception in people's mind. They see how Fela's song, they know that is a Fela song because it carries the song name Kuti. And they see how he rolls with this guy. So there's some level of respect. I'm trying to keep it positive on that end. Then we know the negative side of how these things played out with Fela and all of that.
If there's any country in Europe that played a very big part in promotion of African music, it's France. The first African artist to win a Grammy is a man called Mori Kante from Guinea. Yeke Yeke. Fela's last album, Beast of No Nation, was produced in France. And it was the most globally accepted Fela album. It was a beautiful album. The French played a big role. The Papa Wembas, the Koffi Olomides,
Asha.
all of them, Asha. The French know how to promote African music. If the Wizkids want to sell 100 million copies, they should go to France and produce an album. They are good with African music. I don't know how they do it
Or why?
or why they do it, but they are good in producing African music.
Marketing African music.
Producing it and marketing it. I don't know how they do
I think
it.
the word is marketing.
Fela refused to open the album abroad
they have a
until his
platform.
last album.
They actually have a platform to push African music.
Honestly,
Maybe because France did not at any point in time actually give
I would have
colonial, what's it called, to African nations that they colonized. So these countries are still essentially tethered
To
and
them.
umbilical. So they essentially still run the same economy, and whatever gets pushed from France gets pushed to
I don't know how
these
young
other
you were.
African countries.
there was a time in Nigeria we were all dancing to Makosa. Awilo. You could not hear Jack what he was saying. From Maiduguri to Port Harcourt, everybody was dancing. Coupe, di bamba. It was done in France.
So the thing is that
So you know what they were saying. I still
so this my
I don't.
well, in saying all of these things, I process this thing again in music and in music business. In the music business, remove countries. Nobody really cares about countries. France can have shares in an American music business,
Yeah.
and then it's not a problem. But from a fan's perspective, just talking about this thing, if you're talking about Power Nation that can actually promote is America.
more
But
than any.
America has
More
failed
than
with
any
America has
other.
failed with African music. They have not done one successful African
No,
music.
it's not like they
Okay,
fail.
no,
It's a
no,
business.
hold
No,
on, hold on.
they approach it
Wait,
capitally.
they are not trying to buy into
No.
our own
They've not failed with
yeah.
it. They've
They've
not failed
not.
with it.
They've not.
They failed.
This lady, Angelique Kidjo, she
Sure.
was promoted by an American company. So, from the see,
I
first of
don't
all,
know
okay,
about how.
And she has kept on winning.
I will
Grammy
check.
after
Okay, so
Grammy.
I will check.
first things first, right? The three most powerful record labels in the world are Americans.
I know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Warner Music, Sony, and Universal.
Yeah.
Every other label underneath trickles down.
I never told you that
Those three.
the French have the bigger. They are good with African music.
Marketing.
I don't know.
No,
And
no.
again-
Okay, I think I get where it's coming from. I
Please.
think I can explain it this way.
Okay, maybe.
Music from French, music that springs up from French gets a European acceptance
Yeah.
more than from the US. And we, until very recently, Africans sucked up to Europe more than to the US. Until very
Okay,
recently.
I think
Now,
I
see,
think
sorry,
it's a
now,
generational-
wait. There's a
Exactly.
because I can't relate to.
That's why.
Please, no, wait. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
But there are one other Malian musician I like so much.
Salif
Salif.
Sundo.
Salif
Salif
Keita.
Salif Keita, yeah.
Sundo, I listen to him. I don't understand what they're saying, but it is sonorous. The instrumental is beautiful.
You're right about the generational thing, though.
Mm.
Because, like
We
you
are
said,
different
until very recently,
generations,
different
yeah.
generations.
My
And it
kids,
shows.
my kids come into my room, Daddy, what are you listening to? Yeah, that's not anything, no.
Yeah.
But if you close your eyes, you enjoy the music.
And this is the thing. this is how we feel when our kids come out.
Yeah.
We listen to Travis Scott.
Exactly.
What this guy is
Exactly.
into, yeah.
I said, close your eyes, you understand, you enjoy it.
No, but for real though, the music that transcends time, like the Felas and all of these guys, yes, they are true music.
Come on.
Yeah, now these are true musicians. But you see on the music business space, right? I've studied some music business to an extent to know that it's all marketing. It's who has the biggest budget.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Africans haven't figured out how to market the way these guys do. Because if you see this recent, there's a metric, CEOs, music CEOs in Africa, they met in South Africa and they were talking about how the numbers, the monies that are the income for music is generated by Africans, but it's mostly taken outside of Africa.
Outside of Africa.
The
Yeah.
Bentleys, the Rolls Royces, the Lamborghinis, the
Ferraris
Bugatti, the
and
Ferraris that
everything.
these guys they buy, it's only under 3% of the money that
I know.
we yearly.
Yeah.
As in all of them put together, plus all our income, royalties, everything put together. Why? Because I will give you real facts. Spotify is not owned by Nigeria.
I know,
Yeah.
definitely.
The money goes back to Spotify. They take when you want to withdraw your own money from the Spotify back end, they take down their if you don't have your the foreign tax, whatever with the
Yes.
IRS, they take back they hold the 30%, whatever thing they call it. And then they send you 70%. That 70% is broken down between your manager, everybody, or record label and stuff like that. We don't have an original business here. Nonetheless, back to the French thing. At the time, probably France was the major forerunner for marketing, or maybe even if everybody went to France because that was the hub for
Yes.
marketing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Even the American businessmen they went to France and stuff like that. But the powerhouse of marketing in the world.
I know it's America. No, definitely we all know
Anyway.
that. But so somehow now, Jay-Z, all of them are trying to do collaborations with our musicians.
Yeah.
And there's no successful one yet.
I mean, they have
No,
been.
no, there have been several.